Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID or visit your local DMV.
WABC New York and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Good morning. It is Liz Radabali here on the 5 o'clock news hour, filling in for Noam Layden this Thursday, December 26th. Before we get into the top stories of the day, your forecast from the Ramsey Mazda Weather Center. Today, it's going to be partly sunny with a high of 32. Tonight and overnight, going to be mostly clear with a low of 22. Tomorrow, it's going to be partly sunny, high of 34. And looking into the weekend, Saturday, going to be some rain and snow, high of 43. And if you're heading out the door right now over in New Jersey and New Brunswick, it's currently 18 and clear. Over out on Long Island in Smithtown, 24 and clear. And right here, 27 and clear outside our Midtown studios. A lot of news working up to our 6 o'clock Sid and Friends in the Morning Show. First up, though, it's the day after Christmas. If you celebrate the day, did you get everything you wanted? Let me know on social media what was waiting for you under the tree. I myself didn't really do presents this year. I'm also at the age where I don't even really care much for stuff anymore. Like putting together a Christmas list gets harder and harder. It was kind of embarrassing this year. I had an ice cream scoop on there, a new phone case, like the most boring things you could buy a person. And since I work pretty insane hours, I can't really do pets. So even a fish is kind of a gamble. So if people remember sea monkeys, they come in freeze-dried eggs. They hatch in this tank, become pretty much self-sustainable. I had that on my list for some reason. So really what I wanted for Christmas, though, was a car detailing. That's the sad reality of adulthood. It is official, though. Yesterday really was a white Christmas in the Big Apple for the first time in 15 Christmases. Bing Crosby's dream, actually, the songwriter Irving Berlin's dream came true here in the city. National Weather Service recorded 1 inch of snow in Central Park around 7 a.m., good enough to be called a white Christmas. And while the classic song dates back to 1942, there have only been 5 white Christmases here in the city since 1967. And it was the holidays, so in terms of the news, it was on the slower side. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of the headlines, but first, let's get all the merriment out of the way. Some faithful crowds took to the iconic St. Patrick's Cathedral here in the city to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Cardinal Timothy Dolan said that faith has the power to persevere through darkness in his homily. Pews were filled for that annual Christmas tradition celebrating. The Midnight Mass was a ticketed event, and other masses were also standing room only. Pope Francis is calling for hope this Christmas. The pontiff celebrated his 12th Christmas Eve Mass at the Vatican. In his sermon, Francis said he calls us to be upset with things that are wrong and to find the courage to change them. The Pope also opened the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica, marking the official start of the 2025 Catholic Holy Year, which is expected to bring over more than 30 million tourists to Rome next year. And hundreds also gathered for Midnight Mass in Bethlehem, marking a somber Christmas under the shadow of war in Gaza. Worshippers in Paris also gathered for the first Midnight Mass held in the Cathedral of Notre Dame since a devastating fire back in 2019. Political officials, of course, also sharing their well wishes this holiday season. First up, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill shared a Merry Christmas message.
Merry Christmas, America. We're joining you from Children's National Hospital, where we've been spreading holiday cheer to children and families and them to us as well.
For 4 years now, Joe and I have spent time with these families and the amazing doctors and nurses here. It's a tradition we look forward to every December. From the Biden family to yours, may your Christmas be full of kindness and love, peace and light.
President-elect Donald Trump and soon-to-be First Lady once again, Melania, also wishing the nation a very Merry Christmas.
The President and I want to wish every American a very Merry Christmas.
During the sacred season, Christians celebrate the greatest miracle in human history. More than 2,000 years ago, God sent His only begotten Son to be with us. An angel announced the birth of our Lord and Savior to humble shepherds. He said, "I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all of the people." Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. You will find a baby wrapped in clothes and lying in a manger. At Christmas, we thank God for sending us His Son to bring peace to our souls and joy to the world.
During this wonderful time of year, we also give thanks for the brave and selfless Americans who keep us safe. We are forever grateful for the men and women of law enforcement and the heroes of the United States military.
In this holy season, we thank God for His infinite love, and we pray that the light of His glory will forever shine on this magnificent land. On behalf of Melania and the entire Trump family, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And a new study is revealing which cities in America are the best places to celebrate Christmas. The top spot may or may not surprise you. Wallet Hub released that 2024 list of the most festive and affordable cities in the U.S. after conducting research across all 50 states in those key demographics of traditions and fun, observance, generosity, shopping, and costs. So at number 10, New York sits on the list. And number 1 goes to Atlanta, Georgia. They say it's the best city for Christmas with lots of bakeries, holiday decoration shops, and affordable restaurants. Atlanta has the 9th most Christmas tree farms and the most card shops per capita. 77 WABC News. Time is 5:09. Back to the Christmas spirit more locally. Governor Kathy Hochul wishing people of the Empire State a very happy holiday.
The Christmas season is one of anticipation, of joy, and of knowing better days lie ahead if we just follow that shining star. That's certainly a message we can all get behind this year. We've had some challenging times in New York and across our country, but I know our best days lie ahead of us. This year we've worked so hard to fight for the families of New York State. We're building more housing, creating more jobs, and making sure that our state is a safe and affordable place to raise children. Our work on these vital issues will continue into the new year. So my wish for everyone this holiday season is to be surrounded by the warmth of friends and neighbors and family, having great food, opening fun presents, and making wonderful memories to carry you into 2025. Let's also take a moment to thank the men and women in uniform and the essential workers who can't be home today with their families. We're so appreciative of their personal sacrifices and everything they do for the people of New York. On behalf of myself and my family, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Mayor Eric Adams is also getting in on that Christmas action.
Christmas is a season of love, peace, and promise. It's a time filled with family and friends, warmth, and good cheer. It's about the faith that something special waits for you when you follow that guiding star. In a season of giving and generosity, of kindness, and lending a helping hand to your brothers and sisters. That is the spirit of the holidays. That spirit lives in the hearts of every New Yorker. As you and your loved ones gather to celebrate, I hope you feel that warmth. May God bless you all with peace and joy this coming New Year. Merry Christmas, New York City.
Mayor Eric Adams was also in the spirit of giving. He joined the National Action Network in a Christmas giveaway event over in Harlem.
And then doing what man does best, giving out food to everyday people who are going through some hard times. And just want to fellowship in addition to that. I want to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's to everyone. And always remember Jesus was born in the manger. Not in the Hyatt, not in the Sheraton, but a place where animals were kept. But from that place, he rose to become our spiritual guiding light. Let's continue to lift people up no matter where they are. And we'll be there for them. Merry Christmas.
So over at the House of Justice in Harlem, the group, led by Reverend Al Sharpton, gave out meals and toys to those in need. And with holiday shopping expected to have hit a historic high this year, the same is to be said of purchase returns. A recent report by the National Retail Federation and return management company Happy Returns expects this year's returns to reach 17% of all merchandise sales, making for $890 billion in returned items. That return rate in 2023 was at 15%, totaling $743 billion. And Santa Clauses were out grabbing their surfboards to catch a wave. Lisa Ritchie has more.
Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA.
Santas from around the world are invited to grab their surfboards and head to Florida's Brevard County. The Surfing Santas will gather in Cocoa Beach to go surfing for the 16th year in a row. Hundreds are expected to show up and catch a wave while dressed as Santa, snowmen, elves, and everything in between. You can check out this year's event on Surfing Santa's YouTube channel. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
Also notably, last night was the first time in 20 years that Hanukkah and Christmas happen on the same day. So this marks the fifth time since 1910 that the first night of Hanukkah falls on Christmas Day, some calling it Chrismukkah. The two menorahs were lit in the city, celebrating the miracle when a single night's worth of oil burned for 8 straight nights. What is claiming to be the world's largest menorah, that's at the corner of 5th and 59th, across from the Plaza Hotel. That menorah holds the Guinness World Record for its towering 36-foot height. There's also a large menorah lit at Grand Army Plaza as well. Governor Kathy Hochul wishing Jewish New Yorkers a very happy holiday.
I want to wish all of you a happy Hanukkah. For these 8 nights, Jewish families will gather around the menorah to rejoice in tradition and celebrate the miracle of light. Hanukkah's core values of loving one another, giving back to our communities, and striving to make the world a better place transcend the boundaries of nationality and culture, because these are also New York values. And over the last 2 years since the atrocities of October 7th, these values have taken on renewed meaning. And as we reflect on the Hanukkah story, we're reminded of our commitment to uphold these principles and to use their wisdom to chart a course for a brighter future. I'm so proud to be the governor of the state with the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. And I'm committed to doing everything in my power to protect and support the Jewish community and to ensure that you and your families are able to celebrate the holidays safely. So enjoy. Eat some latkes. Play some dreidel. Enjoy each other. On behalf of my family and the administration, I want to wish you and yours a happy, peaceful, joyous Hanukkah.
Mayor Eric Adams also wishing New Yorkers a very happy Hanukkah as well.
Hanukkah celebrates the strength and perseverance of the Jewish people in the face of hatred and oppression. It is the story of the persistence of faith, of the enduring light in the face of darkness. The Festival of Lights reminds us that even the smallest flicker of light can last. This time of joy and celebrations, when families and friends gather to light the menorah, we are reminded of miracles large and small. I'm proud to be the mayor of the largest Jewish population anywhere outside of Israel. And this is a moment for all of us to keep our Jewish brothers and sisters all over the world in our hearts. This holiday and every day, we stand in solidarity with them. May the menorah continue to shine a light on our beloved city. Happy Hanukkah.
77 WABC News Time, 5:17. Time for sports. Here's James Flippin.
Well, Lizzie, the two NFL games on Christmas were not very competitive, really. The Chiefs had to travel to Pittsburgh, but had no issue blowing out the Steelers 29-10. Patrick Mahomes tossed 3 touchdowns, and Travis Kelce became the Chiefs' all-time leader in receiving touchdowns. Kansas City also clinched the AFC's top seed as they try to become the first team ever to three-peat as champions or win 3 straight Super Bowls. The other NFL game, even less competitive, really. The Ravens easily dispatched the Houston Texans 31-2. Quarterback Lamar Jackson for Baltimore bolstered his case for MVP, breaking the record for NFL quarterbacks in terms of all-time rushing yards overall for a career, and he accounted for 3 touchdowns overall in this one of those an impressive 48-yard touchdown run. And amid the NFL rumor mill, former Jets and Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll reportedly has interest in the Chicago Bears head coaching job. On the hardwood, the NBA, of course, closely associated with the Christmas games, 5 games on the schedule overall. One of those, the Knicks, able to overcome a massive game from San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama, holding on to win 117-114. Both Wembanyama and the Knicks, Mikal Bridges, posted 40-point games, and the Knicks are now 20-10 on the season. Also in the NBA, Dallas Maverick star Luka Doncic facing some missed time here with a left calf injury, and the NHL locals all on their holiday break. For 77 WABC Sports, I'm James Flippin.
77 WABC News time is 5:20. So we discuss Chrismukkah also taking place. The holiday of Kwanzaa begins today with the 7-day feast set to end the same day as Hanukkah on January 1st. And with all the joy that comes from the holidays, some had to unfortunately spend the day in the hospital following a crash in Herald Square. 3 people are recovering after a yellow cab jumped the curb and crashed into a crowded sidewalk in Herald Square. It was right across from the holiday window displays at Macy's. It happened around 4 in the afternoon yesterday. The husband of one of the victims in that crash spoke with NBC4 New York.
They were both stuck underneath. And so there was a gentleman who his wife's in there right now that he got in and actually shut the car off because the driver had never hit the brakes. So as we got up there, everything was still spinning.
6 people in total were hit. 2 women and a 9-year-old boy were hospitalized and are in stable condition. The driver, who may have had a medical episode that triggered that crash, apparently cut his leg. Police are still investigating that incident. Good luck landing a reservation or hotel room in New York City this week. More from Noam Layden.
Tourists from all over the world experiencing their first Christmas in New York, and they seem to be pretty excited about it.
I've always seen it on TV, and I'm like, okay, Christmas, sometime in my life I'm going to go. Here we are, 2024. We made it happen.
New York is awesome. Probably my favorite part is going to Times Square.
And the pews filled at churches all across the tri-state, with many who say they're feeling hopeful this Christmas season.
I think we're rounding the corner. I think as a country, this is a country that was based on optimism. People came here because they were optimistic for their futures. And I think that we'll round around to that again.
Noam Layden, WABC News.
In some health news, there's pressure this time of year to be happy, but for many, the holiday blues are a real thing. Counselors say that seasonal depression can show up in many different ways. Experts say if you're not feeling the spirit, it's important to know that you're not alone. Sometimes the best thing you can do is talk it out. Studies show that voicing your feelings can help those who are facing depression. Also, don't forget that it's important to get adequate rest and, of course, always eat right. Recalled eggs from Costco now being classified at the highest risk level for potential salmonella contamination. Mark Mayfield has more.
The FDA says the eggs are under a Class 1 recall, meaning there's a reasonable probability that the products will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. The eggs were distributed to 25 Costco locations across Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee, and have a use-by date of January 5th.
In some more health news, there's pressure from the FDA. They're approving a generic daily injectable GLP-1 medication. Victoza will provide a lower-cost option for patients 10 years and older with type 2 diabetes. According to White House statistics, about 1 in every 10 Americans have diabetes. An FDA official said in a statement that the move underscores the FDA's continued commitment to advancing patient access to safe, effective, and high-quality generic drug products. And a piece of legislation supported by Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin now becoming law. That NFL star collapsed after suffering a cardiac event on the field during a game back in January of 2023. A bill backed by Hamlin and signed into law by President Biden this week will help to equip schools with automated external defibrillators, making immediate assistance possible for those kids who do suffer that sort of cardiac event that Hamlin did. Biden signed that Hearts Act into law on Monday. And smartwatches were among the most popular Christmas gifts this year. Experts say they can be very useful for our health as they track things like heart rate and blood pressure. However, Texas-based cardiologists say they have a word of caution. They say the sensors for smartwatches not always exactly accurate. And for that reason, they believe that the worry could lead to increased anxiety and unnecessary medical tests. Their best use is accordingly to encourage people to exercise. In some more national news, Congress is looking to get the government running, looking like a preview of what's to come in Washington once President-elect Trump takes the office. Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas predicts there will be some heated budget battles looking ahead.
Right now, we don't have the leverage to pass anything in the Senate. In January, we will have a Republican majority.
Cruz says that once January comes, that Republican majority will be in the Senate helping to push through some of those GOP priorities.
If you're going to bring back economic growth, you've got to do so through legislation that can pass through both houses.
But the larger question will be in the House. Republicans just have a slim congressional majority, with some members leaving for cabinet jobs. Florida's Matt Gaetz has also recently resigned. Infighting was on display last week during debate over a stopgap funding bill, which nearly led to a government shutdown. And there are still lingering questions about support for House Speaker Mike Johnson. President-elect Donald Trump is announcing his pick for ambassador to Panama. Miami-Dade County Commissioner Kevin Moreno Cabrera will take on that role, with Trump claiming on Truth Social that the Central American country is, quote, ripping us off on the Panama Canal far beyond their wildest dreams. Trump floated the idea last week that the canal should return to American hands after complaining of what he called exorbitant prices. And a dead body has been found in the wheel well of a United Airlines plane that flew from Chicago to Hawaii. The airline says the body was discovered Christmas Eve in the wheel well of one of their main landing gears of a Boeing 787 at a Hawaiian airport. United says it's unclear how or when that person got into the well, which was only accessible from outside the aircraft. It's also not exactly clear how that person died. 77 WABC News time is 5:29. In some more national news, the alleged attempted Trump assassin is having his federal trial pushed back. In court documents filed this past Monday, Judge Eileen Cannon set Ryan Ruth's new trial date for September 8th, 2025. It was originally set to start last month before being delayed to February 10th. Ruth is accused of waiting for Trump at his West Palm Beach golf course to try to assassinate him. Two people still recovering after a Christmas Eve subway slashing underneath one of New York City's best-known addresses. It started after someone pulled the emergency brake on board a northbound 5 train inside the Grand Central subway station around 10:15 Christmas Eve night. Police say Jason Sargent slashed a man on his wrist in that station while yelling at people randomly. Then inside that train station, officials officials say the 28-year-old Flatbush resident tried to stab a woman in the neck and just ended up cutting her instead. Both are in stable conditioning, should be okay. Sargent is under arrest, facing a list of charges. Mayor Adams says that this past Wednesday, Sargent has a history of mental illness, an issue Adams reportedly plans to focus on soon. With that random act of violence on the subway, WABC's very own Curtis Lewa led the Guardian Angels patrolling the train shortly after this brutal attack.
It's important for us to be on the trains in the holiday season, Christmas to New Year's, because there are no cops on the trains, and all the problems are on the subway cars. A lot of women during this holiday season are scared out of their minds in the subways. Normally they are, but because of what happened last Sunday at 7:30 on Coney Island, Stillwell Avenue, a woman seemed to be nodding out on that F train, and then the illegal alien from Guatemala torched her up. Nobody did anything. None of the men responded, none of the women. The cops walked right by as if they were oblivious to it. So people really feel they're on their own. That's why it's important the Guardian Angels have a presence, if nothing more, for the women who are being preyed on by the perps who are trying to prove that, they don't have erectile dysfunction. They don't do that to the guys. And obviously those who intend on doing harm to them.
That audio courtesy Freedom News TV. This latest incident raising the alarm for many, of course, as Curtis mentioned, due to the additional random attack that happened this past Sunday when a man set a woman on fire, killing her. And we have more on that story as well. The woman victim in that burning incident say city officials say they still are unable to identify her due to how severely she was burned. Assistant District Attorney Ari Rosenberg said the medical examiner ruled the cause of death as smoke inhalation and thermal injuries. Rosenberg went on to say that the defendant stated in sum and substance that he drinks a lot of liquor and did not remember what happened. The city ME says they did an autopsy this past Monday. They continue to work to identify that decedent, where they will then be first in contact with the family of the victim before releasing that name to the media. The suspect in this case, Sebastian Zabetta Khalil, apparently did drugs, drank, and would, quote, bug out, according to a roommate at the men's shelter where he was living. Disturbing video shows the moments where Zabetta Khalil torched that victim. He claims he has no idea or does not remember what happened. The Guatemalan citizen was detained Sunday, that same day as the attack. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials say he was once deported from the country back in 2018. He entered the country in Arizona, was brought back to Guatemala only 6 days later. ICE officials not sure how, where, or when he re-entered the country. And he was held without bail at his arraignment in Brooklyn Criminal Court this past Tuesday, where he said nothing as he was hit with first and second degree murder and first degree arson charges. 77 WABC News Time is 5:38. In some more local city news, a Brooklyn businessman is expected to plead guilty in the Mayor Adams financial fraud case. The Gothamist reports that federal prosecutors filed a letter this past Monday claiming that they will be charging the owner of a real estate construction firm, Erden Arkan, with conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The letter from the Southern District of New York states that Arkin is also planning on pleading guilty, making him the first in that federal corruption case to claim guilt. Arkin was one of those anonymous businessmen named in that indictment responsible for organizing a 2021 dinner where Adams received illegal campaign donations. This is just the latest headache for Adams, who maintains his innocence. Last week, a chief advisor for Adams, Ingrid Lewis-Martin, was also indicted on bribery charges by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And more from the mayor's office. Maybe not the best look. Adams' lawyer is joining the board of a Turkish rideshare app. Alex Spiro is a newly named director with the Istanbul-based Marti Technologies. That's an app that connects users with taxis as well as electric bikes and scooters. Spiro is representing Adams in that federal case where Adams is accused of taking bribes from Turkish nationals in order to fast-track a new Turkish consulate. Spiro has also served many high-profile clients like rappers Jay-Z and Bobby Shmurda, actor Alec Baldwin, and billionaire Elon Musk. Marti founder and CEO Ogaz Alper Oktem said in a press release, quote, his experience with a broad range of clients across the fields of business and politics in the U.S., and most notably with leading global technology entrepreneurs, gives me confidence that he will contribute to our company and mission. So we will see if federal prosecutors will react to this news. Whether or not that could be a conflict of interest has yet to be officially announced. The NYPD lieutenant that made headlines for her overtime earnings and sexual abuse allegations against the former chief of department wants her old job back. Lieutenant Quatisha Epps came forward with claims that she endured quid pro quo sexual harassment by former department chief of Jeffrey Madry. Madry stepped down shortly after those allegations were made public by the New York Post. Epps served in an administrative role and was suspended after Internal Affairs discovered she raked in over $200,000 in overtime. That's in addition to her $160,000 base pay salary. Epps says that overtime came at the price of sexual favors and demands from Madry. The New York Post reports a lawyer for Epps demanded her suspension be ended and states Epps should be given back pay and the opportunity to retire with a pension next month. Meanwhile, investigators are still looking into whether or not Epps was the one who was faking that overtime. The controversial congestion pricing plan might become even more of a problem during days of high traffic. The New York Post reports that on gridlock alert days, the MTA could raise the $9 toll by 25%, bringing the fee to $11.25 to drive into Manhattan below 60th Street. Representative Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey, also notably running for governor this election cycle, says if whacking hardworking Jersey and New York families with a new $9 a day congestion tax wasn't enough, the MTA is now pouring extra salt on the wound with a 25% extra Uber-style or surge pricing tax on so-called gridlock alert days whenever they want. The City Department of Transportation has identified 20 days this year as so-called gridlock alerts. That's when traffic is at its worst. This December, there's 11 days this year. There's 4 in November and 5 in September when the UN General Assembly is in town. On gridlock alert days, consider walking, biking, and taking mass transit for any trips in Manhattan. That's what the latest notice from the transit agency says. A majority of New Yorkers oppose that new $9 tax, which was originally $15 and has since been lowered to that $9 charge. And the new toll will take effect January 5th, is scheduled to jump up to $12 for most vehicles in 2028, and it will hit that $15 original charge in 2031. There are still some pending lawsuits. The town of Hempstead's lawsuit to block that plan has a new court date. Meanwhile, that plan charging drivers $9 rolls out the start of the new year. The new court date, though, is set for January 5th. A judge has to give the governor's office and MTA until mid-January to respond to Hempstead's attempt to stop that plan. In some national news, police say the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students was a person of interest in a home invasion 1 year before those murders. Mark Mayfield reports.
The home invasion happened in Pullman, Washington in 2021, less than 10 miles from where the 4 college students were stabbed to death in 2022. Body cam video obtained by ABC News shows a woman telling officers that the attacker was wearing a ski mask and armed with a knife. She managed to fight the attacker off. Brian Kohberger was named a person of interest in the case, but he was eventually taken off the list because the suspect was described as much shorter. Kohberger is currently in custody and awaiting trial for the murders. I'm Mark Mayfield.
77 WABC News time is 5:45. Justin Ellick is out today, so here's James Flippin filling in.
Well, Lizzie, the two NFL games on Christmas were not very competitive, really. The Chiefs had to travel to Pittsburgh, but had no issue blowing out the Steelers 29-10. Patrick Mahomes tossed 3 touchdowns, and Travis Kelce became the Chiefs' all-time leader in receiving touchdowns. Kansas City also clinched the AFC's top seed as they try to become the first team ever to three-peat as champions or win 3 straight Super Bowls. The other NFL game, even less competitive, really. The Ravens easily dispatched the Houston Texans 31-2. Quarterback Lamar Jackson for Baltimore bolstered his case for MVP, breaking the record for NFL quarterbacks in terms of all-time rushing yards overall for a career, and he accounted for 3 touchdowns overall in this one of those an impressive 48-yard touchdown run. And amid the NFL rumor mill, former Jets and Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll reportedly has interest in the Chicago Bears head coaching job. On the hardwood, the NBA, of course, closely associated with the Christmas games, 5 games on the schedule overall. One of those, the Knicks, able to overcome a massive game from San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama, holding on to win 117-114. Both Wembanyama and the Knicks, Mikal Bridges, posted 40-point games, and the Knicks are now 20-10 on the season. Also in the NBA, Dallas Maverick star Luka Doncic facing some missed time here with a left calf injury, and the NHL locals all on their holiday break. For 77 WABC Sports, I'm James Flippin.
77 WABC News time is 5:48. Do you go to the movies on the holidays? There were several releases. We'll get into some of those box office hits in a bit, but those trying to catch a movie showing in the city yesterday, the popular Kips Bay AMC had to cancel several showings and tickets due to a pipe burst during A Complete Unknown. That's the new Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet. People received vouchers for a free ticket, but many just upset that their holiday plans were upended by that Grinch of a pipe. And if you're venturing out the house today for some of those entertainment, 4 new movies are in theaters. One, like I mentioned, A Complete Unknown starring Timothée Chalamet tells the story of up-and-coming musician Bob Dylan as he tries to make it in New York City. Nosferatu also out today, inspired by the iconic 1922 silent vampire film.
This creature is a force more powerful than evil. Its desire is to consume all life on Earth.
You can also catch A24's latest release of Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman and The Fire Inside, which follows a determined female boxer from Flint, Michigan. And in some more entertainment news,
St. Texas, ain't no hold 'em, so lay our cards down, 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 down.
my girl Beyonce turned the NFL game on Christmas Day into one big Cowboy Carter party. Queen Bee took to the field at halftime of the Texas Ravens NFL game in her hometown of Houston on that holiday, performing songs from her famous Cowboy Carter album live in front of an audience for the first time. So jealous of those who bought tickets definitely way before she was announced and then were sitting on gold. She rode out on horseback while singing 16 Carriages before getting into a medley of other songs off that album. She also brought out country star Shabuzi and Post Malone. That Beyonce performance was my real gift. We all know I am a buzzing member of the Beehive. I did not watch it live, but I have since watched online, and wow, she is the performer of a generation. She needs to drop those tickets for this tour. She's performing for the NFL once again, but what about your fans, me, that are dying to throw on some cowboy boots and just throw down to this latest masterpiece. I'm just applying the pressure. So in some rock news, Gene Simmons is weighing on whether or not Kiss would have had the same impact without their makeup. In an interview, the musician said the band might have not had that same success without their famous makeup, saying it was the right thing at the right place at the right time. Simmons compared the success of Kiss to a big puzzle, and taking away one piece would have diminished their chances of success. He said that the Kiss band started wearing that makeup because they noticed their favorite groups had a unique visual identity, but they had no idea that they would become a multi-million-dollar brand. Simmons said the band's first show was back in 1973 when he convinced a club to let them play for that crowd of 15 people. Within a year, Kiss was headlining a stadium show in Anaheim, California. Kiss just recently wrapped up their end-of-the-road farewell tour last year in December 2023. And in more icon news,
Baby, you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other?
Prince is receiving a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. The prize has historically been given to under-recognized artists. This year, the Recording Academy also recognizing Frankie Valli, Frankie Beverly, and The Clash, Bobby Jones, Taj Mahal, and Roxanne Shante. Prince has also been nominated for 38 Grammys over the years, and last one in 2008 for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance for Future Baby Mama. Paris Jackson believes her late father, Michael Jackson, would approve of her fiancé, Justin Long. A source told Life and Style that she is positive Long is her soulmate, despite her family being worried about his intentions. Paris is set to inherit almost $1 billion once she turns 33. The source said Paris doesn't care much about money, so it is conceivable that she'd do something impetuous, but added that Long has given no signs that he isn't sincere. Paris and Long got engaged earlier this month. No wedding date has been set, but it's likely to happen next summer. And in some more holiday news,
Tell me if you're really there. Don't make me fall in love again if you won't be here next year. Santa, tell me.
Ariana Grande and Kelly Clarkson are proving it's still possible to make a classic Christmas song. The two singers are the first artists to have Christmas songs from this century land on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. It is currently Grande's Santa Tell Me, number 9 this week, while Clarkson's Underneath the Tree is sitting at number 10. This is Clarkson's first top 10 since 2016, and both of their songs peaked at number 11 last holiday season. In 77 WABC News, time is 5:54. In some more national news, President Biden calling the Russian attack on Christmas Day on Ukraine outrageous. Biden just released a statement yesterday saying the purpose of this outrageous attack was to cut off Ukrainian people's access to heat and electricity during winter and to jeopardize the safety of its grid. He added that the Ukrainian people deserve to live in peace and safety, and that the United States and the international community must continue to stand with Ukraine until it triumphs over Russia's aggression. Russia launched dozens of missiles yesterday morning, targeting Ukraine's energy supplies and infrastructure. And in some more local news, out on Long Island, a Suffolk County police officer reportedly remains on the job even after the department tried to fire him after a drunk driving accident left a child with lasting injuries. Newsday reports that Officer David Mascarella, back on the job and on payroll, set to make $175,000 at a desk job and will become pension eligible as he approaches 20 years on the force. Back in August of 2020, 2020. The paper says his pickup was speeding when it hit a small car in St. James, fracturing the skull of a 2-year-old boy, leaving him with neurological damage. They say an arbitrator found that Mascarella's 18-month unpaid suspension penalty was enough, even though he told Internal Affairs that he had multiple drinks and refused to breathalyzer test, prompting that department to seek his dismissal. 77 WABC News Time is 5:58. One last headline to leave you with: new lawsuit being filed against actor Justin Baldoni. That's days after Blake Lively filed a sexual harassment suit against Baldoni. His former publicist now also suing him and his PR team. This past Tuesday, Stephanie Jones and her agency Jones Work filed the lawsuit here in New York, claiming Baldoni's publicity team conspired to harm her and steal her clients. Jones says this happened in conjunction with her efforts to launch an alleged smear campaign against Lively. 77 WABC News Time is 5:59. It is currently right now outside our Midtown studios 26 with some clouds. I'm Liz Radabali filling in for Noam Layden on the 77 WABC News Hour. We have Katz and Curtis filling in for Sid and Friends in the morning, coming up here next on 77 WABC.